Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler from Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can create an acoustic bass sound. I really love playing with these kinds of physical modeling things and trying to make something that sounds like a real instrument. So let's do it. I'll show you first what it sounds like. It sounds like this. Sorry, I can't play keyboard that well, but hopefully I gave you an idea of what it sounds like. And let's start here. I'm going to have another instance here, and we'll make this about the same. I'm using sustain here on the other one. I did not use a longer decay, but that didn't really matter that much. Of course, I can change the release, but that's okay. I have it set to monophonic here. Turn the gain down just because I don't want it to blow anything out. But let's get into the generator here. Previously, I showed you how to make an electric bass, and I'm using that as the template here. So if you haven't seen that video, check that out. That'll show you how I did this, but basically I'm going to use this. It sounds like this. You hear it sounds like a bass, but it doesn't have the same attributes. It doesn't have that hollow sound, and it doesn't have that, like resonance that the other one does. So let's change that. There's a few things we need to do, but one of the first ones is I need to change this. This is our exciter. Actually, I can rename this. Let's call it exciter. We're going to change that. Okay. Let's turn these off just so we can hear it by itself. There we go. All I'm doing with this is, you see, it's just going down from 10,000 kilohertz down to 0, or actually 20 hertz with a sine wave. It's just a quick sine sweep, so that's why it has that snapping sound. This part's okay, but I want to add something else. What we're going to do is we're going to add noise in. Let's turn this off at first. And we're going to set this, let's say about 250, 200. We're going to change the envelope here. I don't want it to go exactly down linearly. I want it like this. I'll show you to you here, actually. Make sure that both of these are off so you can hear it. If I don't have the envelope, it sounds like this. I don't want that. So move this up a little bit. It does fade out, just not as fast. And the last thing, I want a bandpass filter. I don't want anything super low, so I'm going to turn on the high pass and set that to maybe 40, 49. That's close enough. And same thing, the high pass, this is way too low. I'll set this around, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or so, like this. So now it'll sound like this. The reason I'm doing this is because I want a little bit of, it almost sounds like reverb, and when it goes through everything else, you'll hear that little bit, boom, and it kind of stretches the note out. I'll put this together with the sine sweep here. That's still a little bit too long. I'm going to, number one, actually first, before I do that, let me turn it down. See, I don't want this, I don't want that snap at the top. So let's move this all the way down a little bit under 1,000 hertz. Maybe 800 so. That seems good. And then I don't want so much of the oscillator. I'm going to move this down a few decibels. Maybe let's try -8. Oh, and something else. You notice the noise, it's left, so that's why it's not centered. So move this in the middle. Okay, I'll turn everything back on. You hear that, whoa, that kind of jumping? I don't want that. That's not good. So let's get rid of that. I have a few other things here with the filter, and I want to use those to get rid of it. But you see here, this first one, this is our comb filter, and this is going to determine the pluck, pluck position. So if I move this, you can hear the difference a little bit. But we're going to leave that at 2 right now. And when I actually make a device, I'll make that adjustable, but this is just so you can kind of hear what it is. To make this easier, I'll just put this and label it like pluck position, just because there's 2 filters here, and I don't know which one's which, so this makes it easy. Now, what we're going to do and make it sound a little bit better and more like a bass and doesn't have so much high end is we're going to go in here, the filter. We're going to change this. So now at 12 decibels per octave, that's fine. The low pass filter, that's what we want. But the frequency, we're going to move this all the way down. Here, I want this to go up to about 1,600 hertz. What is that? Oh, I'm looking correctly. 1,000. That's a little bit high. Doesn't have to be exact, but that's what I want. Right now I have it modulated by the velocity and the key scale, but actually I don't want that for the acoustic bass. What I want is I want this to do a quick filter sweep down. And what we can use is the attack. So we have the attack here. I'll set this maybe like 150 milliseconds. You can kind of choose that however you like. Move this down here. That seems about good. And now let's hear it. If I turn this off, on, you hear that horrible noise. You don't want that. And I'll let you hear something. This might be useful to you. You hear that? It's legato. So if I keep playing this, it'll actually run out of steam, just like a real hammer-ons and pull-offs would, like this. You hear it's turning off. So if you don't want that, go to the attack here and you see where it says mono restart. Now each time I play it, it's going to actually start a new note like this. If I turn it off, I apologize again for my piano playing. I'm also playing upside down, so. But if you're wondering how to do legato, that's how you can do it with this instrument. There's some other ways with other instruments, but let's stick to this for now. Now we have this all set up. I think it's sounding pretty good. The next thing we want to work on is the resonator. So here I have the low pass up high at 2000, but I actually want to move that down. I'll show you on the other one exactly what I did here. Let's see. In the resonator, I have it at 800, and I did something slightly interesting with the key scale here. So I have it starting at 800, and then I have it going all the way up to 13.4 kilohertz. I'm using the key scale here. If you look, I didn't alter anything in here, and I can change this, the scaling, the transformation, but oftentimes if you're using more than one key scale, I don't want to do that because there's only two available, like in here, a key scale 1, key scale 2. And so if I change this, if I have to use it again, it's a big pain. You can use the transformation in here just for this one mod low pass parameter, and you can change it every time. So I recommend doing it this way. So I have it here, it's bent down -55 like this. Have it 800, so I'll do the exact same thing for my other one. So in the resonator, change this to 800. Change this going up to, what was it, 1,600? 1,000. I don't know, it was like 13.4. I'm forgetting. I have to look back. I'm sorry about that. Here we go. Yes, 13.4. So I always get confused when I'm using kilohertz and everything. 13 point, there we go. And I'm using the key scale here. Everything's set up the way I want it. Go into the transformation, enable it. Just kind of bring it down here. Now this should get it sounding even more like an acoustic bass. Still not perfect, but I think we're getting closer and closer. The next thing we want to do is change this all pass filter. And you're probably wondering, like, what does this do? What this will do is it will change the harmonics from the fundamental to the harmonics that go to it. It will offset them a little bit so they're not exactly the same. And I'll let you hear that by listening to it in polyphonic mode. It's a little bit more obvious. So let's say I play an octave like C and higher C. Move it down an octave so it'll be longer. If I play them together, it sounds like this. It almost sounds like one note. You can barely hear that I'm playing two notes. Let's turn the all pass on and try it again. It's like, oh, that sounds really weird. What's happening is this resonance is up a little bit too low. The higher you have it, the less of that you'll hear. So here's just one note playing with the resonance low, higher, etc. But what we want to do is we can actually move the frequency down. It seems to get better when you do that. So I want to set this actually to resonate at the lowest frequency of my bass, which I believe is a low E. So Here's F, here's E, so 41.2 hertz. There. That's actually okay, but I think it's a little bit too different, so I'll move the resonance up just a little bit here. A little bit down. You kind of hear that wobbling sound if I turn it off. And I like that. That sounds more like a real bass to me. So we have that, and for the most part, I think this is sounding pretty good. There's more I can do with this, but for now, this is good. In the next part, I'll show you more, but I think overall, this is nice. The one other thing I'll show you is if you want to get like a slapping sound, like the sound of like the string hitting the fretboard, I can try to simulate that. And what I'll try to do is I'll add a bandpass filter here. And what I'm going to do is just have it steal from input 1 here. We can close this and we'll just listen here. That's the raw sound. What I want to do is take this, set it to constant, makes it 24 decibels per octave. Be here, set the resonance down. Seems good. And I'll do the same thing with the low pass, set it to constant. 24 decibels is okay. And then I can set this a little bit higher, maybe 500 or so. And probably you won't hear too much here. That's really difficult here. What I need to do is I need to set this, guess I can use attack 1 again. I could use a different attack, but I think this is okay. Set this higher, maybe like 1,000, like here. I can set this lower, like around 10 or so. And now I'll do the exact same thing, add attack 1. I don't know how high I want it, maybe like 25, 30. This. Barely hear that. Okay, still not great, but it's okay. And from here, what we can do is we can add a mixer in here. Turn this back on. 1, input, steal input 2. And now we can mix these together if we want. We mix those together. You can set that however you want. You think, it's too loud, I can move it down a little bit there. There's other things we can do here. Now it's being controlled by the velocity, which is nice, but to make it sound a little bit more realistic, we're going to turn the velocity off and do it a slightly different way. I'll set it back to monophonic. We have the velocity shape here, and now the velocity range is 30 decibels from the lowest sound to the high sound. We're going to set that at 0. So no matter how hard I hit it, it sounds the same. You're wondering, like, hey, how am I going to get, different sounds out of this so, it actually sounds, lighter, like pianissimo or forte, etc. What we're going to do is we're going to go back into the filter here, and we had our attack. But you see this level? What we're going to do is alter this. So now it's at 100. Move it down to 50. So that means it's not going to go as high. So before the max was it 1,700 hertz, but now it's going to be way less than that, whatever half that is. But we're going to have this be controlled by our velocity here and make it go all the way to 100, close enough to it. Let's say 13.6. Okay. So now when I hit it very lightly, but if I hit it louder, there we go. And I'll do the same thing with this bandpass. So I have this going here, and all I have to do is just multiply it by our velocity here. So that way you don't get that hard slap when you're hitting it softly, like now. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully you get the idea, and this gives you at least the first part of how to make this. In the next part, I'll show you how to get maybe a more authentic tone and get that real, like, boxy resonance that a bass will have. And I'll show you how to do that, and hopefully some different ways you can change it and make the sound your own. But if you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me any comments or questions down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.